والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah once again. Nice to have you back in this series of Quranic studies lessons. Inshallah, today we're gonna continue talking on those powerful aspects of Quranic narratives. And as you see, last week we started making some references to one of the most awesome, powerful chapters in the Quran relating to narrative of a specific prophet, that is Prophet Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Today's lesson is nothing but an extension of what we started doing last week. Allah the Almighty, as we noted, said that نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين. First, Allah the Almighty indicates that this narrative referring to Yusuf alayhi salam is one of the best and one of the most interesting and one of the most appealing, powerful stories in the Quran, because the story has a distinctive style and, of course, something extraordinarily unique that you'll never find either in Jewish or Christian book. For example, in Bible, Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers were depicted as what? As farmers. But in the Quran they are called prophets. وكذلك يجتبيك ربك ويعلمك من تأويل الأحاديث ويتم نعمته عليك وعلى آل يعقوب كما أتمها على أبويك من قبل إبراهيم وإسحاق. So he beautifully traces Yusuf alayhi salam's trajectory all the way back to Abraham, just to clear up his words, his lineage. So they are not farmers; they are, of course, prophets. So if we move on into some beautiful aspect of the surah, Allah the Almighty says, لقد كان في يوسف وإخوته آيات للسائلين إذ قالوا ليوسف وأخوه أحب إلى أبينا منا ونحن عصبة إن أبانا لفي ضلال مبين. So this was essentially the point of contention between Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers. So his brothers, as you know, they felt incredibly marginalized because it is a fact that their father, Yaqub alayhi salam, has extraordinary love and affection towards his two little children, that is Yusuf and his brother. Of course, the obvious reason for that it was they were born when he was already extremely old. So naturally he tended to have that special word, attachment and affection to them. So they felt jealous for that reason. So they felt overshadowed and they felt that they must do something to, establish their worth. They need to establish their relevance in the field. So by plotting to simply eliminate Yusuf alayhi salam. In the process of their plots, but before that, Allah the Almighty mentioned that Yusuf alayhi salam had a dream. He is a dreamy boy. So once he had a dream that, the sun, the moon, and some stars were just falling down before him. So when he told his father, the father was quick to, warn him that he will never ever disclose the story to his brothers, because he knows that good dream happens. It will become true one day. So this is a strong lesson that we will take from the surah, that try to hide the ni'mah of Allah, the ni'mah that Allah has bestowed onto you. Try as far as possible to conceal it. Otherwise, people will be jealous of you, and of course, they will try to harm you in one way or another. He was afraid of them becoming jealous and harming him. Well, based on this, we established that it is permissible to conceal a favor. If you know that you are beautiful, don't come and expose your beauty. Okay, Arisha, and all of you, those beautiful faces, try not to expose your, your beauty to laymen, of course, because this will harm you, and of course it will invite, maybe some kind of extraordinary activity against you, chasing and all that. So based on this, we established that it is good to hide your ni'mah as far as possible, even to your friend, even to your brother, because sometimes your greatest enemy is the one who is very close to you, right? It is good also to consider people who said that a father should be just, should be just between his children. So as we know, he had many other children, but of course, for some reasons, he was very much attached to his youngest son, Yusuf alaihis salam, and of course his brother. So, we had no reason to criticize Yaqub alayhi salam for being extraordinarily attached, because it is just love. That magical four-letter word, it has no bound, of course. So we have absolutely no control over it. It is something extraordinary. So Allah the Almighty now was, depicting some of the unique and salient qualities that He has bestowed on Yusuf alayhi salam. That is interpretation. وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. He has chosen you, and of course, He has made you to be a prophet. Not only that, He had given you a stronger power of interpreting dreams. So this is, as we will see, this knowledge is power. It was, of course, that something that helped him later and made him to become someone. Allah the Almighty chooses whom He pleases from among His His slaves. He has chosen Yusuf alayhi salam out of 11 brothers, and of course made him someone, a prophet, a good-looking, and above all, a person with extraordinarily strength of authority. Well, we have a very strong and interesting point about the issue of basing judgment based on circumstantial evidence. Because when they tried to plot, they, of course, devised various avenues to simply take him away from his father. Some of them, say, اقتلوا يوسف أو اضربوه أرضا يخل لكم أبيكم ويكون من بعده قوما صالحين. Simply kill him. This is advice number one. But some say, oh no, rather than killing him, just take him away. Take him away to fatherland. But this will create room for your father to have him, because you're just overshadowed by yourself. In his absence, you will be very much attached and very much close to your father. Well, but unknowingly, he suggested a plot that they will use, because when they say, our father will, can you just give us Yusuf alayhi salam to go along with him and play and engage in horse racing? Well, he was curiously enough, of course. He said, I'm afraid maybe you'll be eaten by wolf. So because he had that sense of fear, this is what educationists or psychologists call self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy, that if you think something bad will happen, so forget it. Otherwise, any action you take, it will be negative. And unknowingly, you will be moving step closer to that until it happens. but like if you just forget it. So because he was very curious and he was very much attached to his son, so he felt that if he was taken, some harm may be inflicted on him. And unknowingly he suggested what they will do by telling them, I'm afraid, I'm getting it, I am afraid that he will be eaten by wolves. Okay, when they took him, later they came back and told him that, oh, he was taken by a wolf. So sometimes excuse provides words, pretext, fear provides pretext for excuse. So by telling them that I'm afraid that he will be eaten by wolf, it was indirect. It was like indirectly telling them that is what you should do. So when they took him, some minutes later they came back crying, painting his shirt in blood and claiming that, pretending that he was eaten by wolf. So it was like he was the one who gave them that excuse. But a very interesting reaction from Yaqub alayhi salam was that he didn't agree outrightly because he examined the evidence they provided, because they tend to focus on going further into their trick by painting his shirt and claiming that he was eaten by a person without having to tear any article, any segment, any part of the cloth. So he thought, oh, wait a minute, this wolf must be very brilliant indeed. If it was indeed, if Yusuf alayhi salam was indeed eaten by wolf, then of course the shirt must have been torn apart. But claiming that he was eaten by a wolf and the shirt was perfect, nothing happened. Of course, unless some painting he saw on it. So this only explains the level of their miraculousm, the level of their short-sightedness. So if someone tells you something, try to examine the facts and establish the judgment. This is another way of enjoying and encouraging critical thinking. Sometimes, okay, we have that. Judgment shall be based on evidences, as in the case of wolf. Another powerful and awesome lesson we can take: seclusion is permissible only with muharram. Only with muharram. So we had a story that Yusuf alayhi salam, what happened? When they took him, they stripped him up his clothes and flung him into a very deep pit. Okay, well, so finally he was taken by some merchant and basically he was we can say sold by his brothers. When he was discovered, he was sold by his brothers, and for some pieces of gold, maybe 20. He was sold for some 20 pieces of silver, not gold. It was in fact a very mild and meager amount. So finally he was taken by what they call Pharaoh. Of course, in the Quran, it was a king, it was not a Pharaoh. Allah the Almighty referred to him as Al-Aziz. So he had a very extraordinary woman, very powerful, very beautiful woman. So she tried to seduce him and bluff him into, committing something bad with her. We can say fornication. In the Bible, they say he kissed her, or she invited him to kiss her. Right? But in the Quran, Allah the Almighty says, وَرَوَدَتْهُ الَّتِي هُوَ فِي بَيْتِهَا عَنْ نَفْسِهِ وَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابَ. راودته. She just seduced him. So it was not like she or he kissed her or something else. It was an invitation. And of course, Allah the Almighty made a very special reference to that, simply to show what? To show that it is not easy to escape from that seducement, especially if it comes from a very beautiful woman, powerful for that matter. So this is nothing but we can say ibtila. It is what? Ibtila from Allah the Almighty. Sometimes it is better to travel to become someone. We mentioned that. had it been that Yusuf alayhi salam stayed with his father and didn't go anywhere, he wouldn't have become someone. Because this is one of the most remarkable thing about traveling, is to enjoy the scenery and to be exposed to outside world, to broaden your broader outlook, and to be availed to an opportunity that you would otherwise not have the chance to consider. If he stayed at home, if he had stayed at home, he wouldn't have become someone. So if you need to become someone, you need to travel. سافر تجد عوضا عمن تفارقه وسوف إن لذيذ العيش في النسب, as Arabs say. Selling off someone into slavery is grievous, and that is why Allah the Almighty, we can say in Islam, it is one of the best action to free a slave. So Yusuf alayhi salam, he was one of the most beloved, we can say child, the son of all his brothers, but yet he ended up being sold as slave. Look at how ridiculous the episode turns out to be. So he was sold, but later he was freed. He was freed, as you will see. Which brings us to some interesting lessons we can also extract. Perseverance, what they call patience, as-sabr. As-sabr, okay? As-sabr is of three levels, is of three categories. During obedience to Allah. So Allah the Almighty says we must pray, we must stay away from bad things. So it's good to focus on that, no matter what. You're referring from prohibitions. He says stay away from fornication, don't take haram, don't eat halal. Don't eat haram. So do that. Don't eat haram. Okay? Do that. Rather eat halal. You eat halal? Huh? Are you sure? Are you sure what you eat is 100% halal? If you can do that, then I will demand your prayer, because Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, if you are 100% sure that you are not eating haram, then as soon as you supplicate, you make dua, it will automatically be accepted. So you don't take haram, right? all what you take is 100% halal? Halal, right? Okay, pray for me. Pray for me, okay? You pray? Okay. Through the degrees of Allah. So Yusuf alayhi salam basically passed through all these levels. Perseverance, he was taken from his father. He spent some time deep inside of a pit, or where we can say. Later, he was taken into prison as an inmate. Of course, before that, he made to face some, you can say, trials and trials and tribulations, especially from those women who claimed to have loved him, okay, who were extraordinarily fascinated with his charm, beautiful and good-looking face, right? So Yusuf alayhi salam was a Nabi, he was a prophet. So he said, Rabbi, السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه. Oh Lord, of course, when that woman used to him, later it was found that he was right, she was wrong. But because of the tribulations and, we can see, challenges he faced, he later preferred to be in the prison. ربي السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه. Oh Lord, I prefer to stay in the prison as an inmate rather than being exposed to these trials and tribulations for a moment. So as we can say, as we can establish here, he was taken to prison, right? And there he met two inmates. Of course, they told him what they went through, and they demanded that if he could interpret their dreams, which he did, right? Because they, from his face, they read that he was good man. He was a good man, right? So from this we can understand that piety reflects on one's face. Piety, Allah the Almighty, it is like a cloth that He put on the faces of who are dutiful and God-fearing. So, by virtue of his, what they saw, what they read from his face, they established that this is a good man, right? This is a good man. So, they now approach him. Could you please interpret our dream? Because he was never known to be a prophet or a dream interpreter, but based on what they saw on his face, this is a good man. Every day he was crying, very, very dutiful to God, supplicating all day long. So they approached him. Please, could you interpret our dreams? Yeah. So this means that they say don't judge a book by the cover. But in this case, the contrary of the case. You can judge, of course, some books by their cover. You can judge